Hello everybody. We wanted to do a video about 5 things that we really like about our tiny house and 5 things that we really don't like about our tiny house, in case you're thinking about doing something along these lines.
Yes.
Right? So, we're just going to jump into it. You want to start with the good news? You want to start with the good news or the bad news?
Let's do the bad news. Just get it out of the way.
I like to start with the bad news, end on a good note. So, made a list of things here. These are 5 things that we don't like about living in the tiny house. We're going to do some other videos as well. Maybe 5 things we wish we would have thought of when we were ordering the tiny house and a few other things like that. But anyhow, these are some things that we don't like in the time that we've been in here so far anyway. There's nowhere to hide.
No, there's not.
So, like, if you need to make a phone call, like even pay a trash bill or something like that, like you had today.
Like, if it's just like 2 adults, not a big deal. But we have 3 kids and they're all 5 and under. So sometimes it's very hard.
On top of that, if me and the wife are maybe in a disagreement about something and you want to just kind of separate for a little bit, yeah, there's nowhere to separate. I would be lying if I said I haven't just, went outside a time or 2. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So number 2. So this is kind of a good and bad one. We will have to sacrifice some things, inevitably, that we won't really want to get rid of. Yeah. So there's going to have to be some discussions about some, like, different stuff that we're just not going to be able, we just don't have the room for. It's not that we don't want to keep it, we just don't have the room for it.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. With a small space, things like a messy dinner table or muddy boots, and this would be one Melissa can really speak to, right? Messy table, muddy boots, it becomes a lot bigger deal.
It does. Yeah. You're always trying to pick up, or I always kind of try to pick up a little bit here and there to kind of keep up with it. But yeah, it becomes a bigger deal because it's just all you see, because it's all open and it's small, and so yeah.
So in the bigger house, and the house we used to live in wasn't all that big anyway. But
No.
if like kids were crazy and all that, and you didn't get the table cleaned up, like right then, it wasn't that big a deal.
No.
But now, like, the table is our primary focus in our room, and you just look at it, and you're like, oh, they're clean, right? It's a lot bigger deal.
Yeah.
Any get together we have, such as like a birthday party for the kids, there's gonna have to be an outdoor option at least.
Yes.
Of some sort. So we just had a birthday for Luella, our oldest one, right? And it was just really small, kind of grandparents type thing, right? That we had over, nieces and nephews, cousins, those kinds of things. And the kids, praise the Lord, the weather was just nice enough that the kids could be outside for most of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't too cramped in here with the grandparents.
No.
It was, I wouldn't want any more people than that in here for like a get together. But it was tight.
Yeah.
And it would be best to have outdoor options,
and
I think.
Kids will be kids, and loud, and it's a small space. I mean, you just have, it's something you have to kind of think about and get used to.
So if you're like the entertainers in your family, always having get-togethers, and you're thinking about doing one of these, you may have to rethink that. So so I'd say our biggest one and most frustrating one is the last one we've listed here, and it's seating.
Yeah.
So this was one that I hadn't put as much thought into as I probably should have, just to be 100% honest. But seating. So at the end of the night, say we've all been busy, we've all been working, all that good stuff. There's just not places for everybody to go.
Like, we have enough chairs for the kids and stuff, but we have to use our dinner chairs and stuff to provide more seating, which I'm thankful for that we have the seating. But yeah, it's not like we have, a couch, a love seat, a couple chairs. It's not like that.
We just don't have a lot of stuff.
No.
We have talked about getting cushions for our kitchen chairs.
Yeah.
Which would help. But it's also helped us be more tight knit. So like the kids gravitate to our laps at night.
Yeah.
Which can be a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
Either one. So let's end on a good note. What's some things that we like? So the first one is kind of where I ended with that, right? Tighter knit family. We feel like we are tighter knit living here. Speaking of tighter knit, hey Luella. we feel like we're tighter knit living here.
Yeah.
We can't really explain it though.
No, like, I think you know, even at our old house, like, it wasn't real big or anything like that. But I thought we were tighter knit and close there.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
But the process of actually doing this, I feel like you actually have to do this to understand the whole being tight knit and closer. It's been really great and really special. So.
Yeah. So even like what we started off talking about, nowhere to hide, right? So if you get in an argument, if me and the wife disagree about something, we get in a little spat. Like, we have to resolve it because there's just no hiding places to go to, really, right? So with the being a small house, when we were building it, so we built it, right? We had lots of help, but we didn't hire it out or anything like that. We built it. So we were able to customize it how we wanted to and build it how we wanted to.
Yeah.
Which means we epoxied the countertops, right? And we really liked it.
Yeah.
We went with just raw wood on the cabinets because that's what we wanted to do. We thought it was pretty with the countertops. Well, we got the wood stove we wanted, right?
Yeah.
And you can afford on a smaller house like this, if you want a little bit nicer flooring, let's say, you're looking at the flooring and you're like, man, that nice flooring's $3 a square foot, but you're only doing 700 square foot instead of 2,000 square foot, right? So that helps.
Yeah.
For sure. Less stuff and the freedom that comes with that. So, we talked about what the bad stuff is. We're going to have to get rid of some stuff we don't want to. But also, there's just a lot of, can I say it this way, a lot of fat in our lives that we need to trim off, right? That just weighs us down, whatever it may be. So, whenever you get that stuff cut off and cut out, there's freedom in that. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Low overall cost. So, our utilities and stuff are definitely cheaper, somewhat. Although we're still running a dryer, refrigerator, hot water heater, freezers, right? So it's not as low as you might think. I expect our cooling bill to be quite a bit cheaper this summer because of the smaller space.
Yeah.
But I'm working on the cost right now, wrapping everything up, getting all that done, and we'll do another video on what it cost us to do this, just so you guys know, so you understand, right? So the Bible says that it would be foolish for a man to build a house without first counting the costs in case you can't finish it, right? And so it's something that we want to share with you guys, the realities of it, especially now that COVID's hit and everything's so expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. We blew the budget like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
But everything's really high. Right. Wasn't much we could do about that. And then the number 5 thing that we like about living in our tiny house is the most important to Melissa and I, for sure. We live in a tiny house because we feel like God told us to live in a tiny house.
Yeah.
And to some of you, that may sound very foreign. That may sound very odd. And I'll just tell you, when we were living in our other house, and some of you probably kind of know our story, we went through some hard times financially, right?
Yeah.
And we were praying about what we needed to do in our life and how to live it. And we felt like we were supposed to reel everything back and get as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's easy, but simple, right?
Yeah.
So gardening and all that stuff, that stuff we were pretty accustomed to. And we were talking about living in a camper and doing a few other things. And my dad actually suggested a tiny house, one of these little tiny houses. And the more we talked about it, the better we felt about it.
Yeah.
And then I did something that some of you that studied your Bibles knows what it would be, right? So I did something that most people call laying out a fleece, right? So I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if this is something you want us to do, if we are supposed to get a tiny house, because I'm going to be honest with you, with our finances being the way that they were and all those good things, we were kind of starting to rebound a little bit, but I didn't want to do anything that was outside of the will of our Father, right? And I threw out a fleece, and I asked the Lord to answer that fleece. So if you don't know the story in the Bible, a military leader in Israel was told to go to war, and he was trying to make sure it was the Lord's will, and he threw out a fleece, and he said, Lord, if this is your will, right, make the fleece wet and the ground dry. And it was. And then the next time he said, Lord, let the ground be wet and the fleece dry. I may have that flipped around, but that's basically what he was saying, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'll just tell you guys, right? So we had a spare bedroom. It was my office room. If you watch any of our Bible study stuff, it was recorded in there. And I was going to bed one night, and I just prayed that the Lord would let the light be on in that room when we got up the next morning. And then my wife didn't really know that I told her I was going to lay out some fleeces, but I didn't tell her what fleece. And when we woke up in the morning, guess what? That light was on. And I looked at my wife and said, we are buying a tiny house. And then just a couple days later, right, we put in the down payment, ordered the building, all of that kind of stuff. Now, we had talked about it and kind of thought about what we would do if that's what we wanted or what we felt like we were supposed to do. But the number 5 and most important reason I think we are happy here, we had trouble coming up with the bad list.
Yeah.
Like, we felt like we had to stretch a little bit for the bad list. But the good list was easy. And we feel like it was that way because ultimately we're doing what we feel like God wanted us to.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell them? Looks like you're about to cry. Was he trying?
I was earlier.
Was he trying not to cry?
I was trying not to cry earlier.
I understand that.
God has really blessed us in what we're trying to do. And if you're thinking about doing this and feel like you're supposed to, of course, we recommend talking to God about it first. It's always a good thing to do. But it's just, it's a great thing. It's been very, very adventurous and very great for us. So I hope everything works out for anybody that's trying to do that or think about doing that. So
I had an uncle tell me one time, we were talking about other stuff, and he said, if God has told you to do something, he'll get you there. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was talking about all the different people in the Bible that had to do crazy things, right? Like Moses going down to the Pharaoh and trying to tell him they need to let God's people go, right?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Noah, telling Noah to build an ark, right? And all that stuff. But when God told him to, God got him there, no matter what the circumstances around him. Part of the big reason we do these videos, one of the reasons is we just don't want you to be afraid to try things.
Yeah.
Right? You can, so I'm not a contractor. I'm not a builder, right? I've spent some time around some of that kind of stuff. I've helped and I've done, but I've not really done it for a living by no means. There are people that are way better at it than I am. But ultimately, we've got a dry place to lay our head down at night.
And that's something we're trying to teach our kids is to be thankful for what you have. You know, that seems so silly to talk about maybe as an adult. You know, you should already know that, but some people don't.
That's right.
Some people don't. And
we even kind of recognized it in our kids a little bit.
Yeah.
And it really bothered us, right? Really bothered us that they weren't grateful for the things that they've had.
Yeah. Just like, you know, we talked about the seating and having our kitchen chairs. You know, I'm thankful that we have our kitchen chairs, and he has helped. I know myself, I'm trying not to cry, with some of those things. You know, as a 28-year-old woman, trying to be thankful for what I have. And so I think you can always do better, no matter how old you are, in all of that. So
honest moments there. This was not, none of this was we did write down the stuff. That was the only pre-scripted thing here, right?
Or do you have something else you want to say?
So I would say ultimately, right? First, we just don't want you to be afraid to try things. And then secondly, and ultimately, we want you to be in the Lord's will. That's really what we want.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that gains us followers or not, that's what we want for you, right? Guys, we thank you guys. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Please like and subscribe. Also, don't forget about Rumble. We're trying to put stuff on there too, kind of as a backup plan in case YouTube falls through on us one of these days, right?
Yeah.
If it will, it probably will, especially be on the Bible teaching stuff is where it will fall through. But guys, we thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to our page. You can really help us out. Go a long ways to helping us out that way. And stay tuned for more Tiny House Talk.
Yes.
How'd you like that? That wasn't bad on the fly, huh? Tiny House Talk. And gardening stuff and animals. Hopefully, we already ordered the fence for the goats. Hopefully, goats are going to be in our near future, right?
Excited.
Luella, are you excited for the goats? Uh-huh. Yeah. So we told her to kind of be quiet during the video.
She's taking it really seriously.
She's really serious. She would not. Yeah. I'm not talking. Thank you guys. We love you guys. And we'll catch up to you later.
See ya.